Hey, what's up, guys? Rideshare guy coming to you again today. And I wanted to do a quick video to update you actually on the Uber 1099 video I made last week. So there are a couple basically small little points that I wanted to just clarify, and especially after talking to a couple other people and Tristan from Zen99, which if you guys haven't checked out, definitely recommend. He was actually a former CPA and he's running a company right now that helps out drivers with insurance and taxes and things like that. And he kind of clarified a few points, so I figured I'd make this updated video to make things super clear, just so you guys know exactly what to do. And I actually just released a post today on my site, and what did I title it? I titled it, All of Your 2014 Rideshare Tax Questions Answered and a TurboTax Giveaway. So basically, I really broke it down in detail. I'll leave a link to that post in the show notes. And if you guys are interested in winning that copy of the TurboTax, definitely go and enter. There's a bunch of ways you can enter. And I'll actually be doing a H&R Block giveaway too later on in the week. So definitely subscribe to the site and you can follow along there and enter to win, because it's actually pretty. They gave me, I think, $80 copy of H&R Block, and I think TurboTax is around the same price. So 3 copies each, and it's definitely some good value. So hey, free is free. So basically, one of the things I'm going to clarify right now has to do with the 1099K. I kind of already, I'll cover the basics real quick. Obviously, the Uber, they issued a 1099K to every single driver, regardless if you met that $20,000 and 200 transaction threshold, which is actually the threshold which they are legally required by the IRS to send out a 1099K. Last year, for the 2013 tax year, they only sent partners a 1099K if you made more than $20,000 and did 200 transactions. So this year they did a little different, possibly because maybe partners didn't report their earnings or whatever. But just so you guys know, if you make any money ever, whether you get a 1099 or not, you always have to pay income taxes. So that's something to keep in mind. And now this year, obviously, it's a little more straightforward, especially now that I have some updated information. But Uber sent out these 1099Ks to everyone, regardless of whether you hit those limits or not. But as far as a 1099 MISC, you'll only get that if you made over $600 in bonuses and, I don't know, referral fees, things like that. So if you made over 600, you will get a 1099 MISC, and that's pretty straightforward. Whatever number is there, you'll report right on your Schedule C as income. Now, real quickly, going over the 1099K, there's only really one number on there that matters on the 1099K from Uber. It's that box 1A or 1, the gross amount of payments from Uber. Now, for you guys, you probably already realized that this gross amount, right? So that's what gross means. It's your gross fares before any of Uber's fees, anything like that. So Uber actually gave you the entire amount, right? So they didn't account for any of their fees yet or anything like that on the 1099K. So that's why that number is probably going to be a lot higher, over 20% higher or more than what you made. So that's what that 1099K is. Now, on your 1099K summary from Uber, which can actually be accessed from the partner statements, and then up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a tax button. Click on that, and then you can find your summary. It's in a different spot than your 1099K. You'll see that the tolls, split fare fees, safe ride fees, things like that are listed under the 1099K breakdown. So when you add that in there, it's actually being counted as income and expenses, right? Because you're going to have to put that number in as income, and then later on, you're going to take it out as expenses in, I think, box 9 or 10. So real quick about that, in my last video, I was a little confused and, well, not confused, but what I said was a good method was you could just add up all your pay statements and put that as your income. But the problem with that is that it could cause a mismatch with the IRS number, because Uber is reporting your gross fares. So let's say you made $10,000 in gross fares, right? But obviously what you actually receive from Uber is going to be maybe $7,500 or something like that. So the problem is, if you put down your income amount, $7,500, although that either way you do it, that's the amount you're going to pay taxes on, it could cause a mismatch because Uber is reporting that you made $10,000, right? So that's definitely something you want to consider. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what would happen. I'm assuming that since you pay the same amount of taxes either way, there may or may not be a penalty, but I feel like you probably want to do it the correct way, especially since Uber gives you this breakdown, and at first it's a little confusing, but after this video, you should be able to hopefully knock it out really quickly. Now, so you're going to take your total income from driving, And that's going to be that gross fares number, that really high number, so $10,000 in this case. And you're going to add up those tolls, split fare fees, safe ride fees. And then down in other items, this wasn't included in your income section, but it's going to be added on as these Uber expenses. It's going to be the Uber fee, a device subscription fee. Okay, and maybe if you have some others down there, you're going to add those too. So when you take your total gross fares minus all those expenses, that's going to be your profit number from driving for Uber as far as your 1099K. Now, when you combine that number with your 1099 MISC, or if you had any other types of referrals or anything like that, you combine it with that number, that's going to give you your total profit from both, right? Because there aren't any expenses from the 1099 MISC. So obviously there's still the mileage, and that's your on-trip miles with Uber. So hopefully you guys took good logs, because the 3 rules with the IRS are documentation, documentation, and documentation. So you really want to make sure that you have really good logs, very detailed, and that way you can figure out how you're going to do your deductions for mileage, because that's going to come in a later section, I think in part 3 or something, part 4 it looks like, down as business mileage. So hopefully that clears things up for you guys. I know that I was a little confused personally, because I figured, hey, why don't I just add up all my partner statements, and that's what I'll put down for income. And while that number will equal the method that I just gave you, right? If you take all your gross fares and subtract out all the expenses, combine your 1099K and 1099 MISC, that number should equal the total sum of your partner statement. So that's a really good check right there to make sure you're doing it right. You go in, you check your... So I went into my partner statements on Uber, and I basically just copied and pasted everything, and I copied it perfectly into Excel. I did a quick equals sum, and then I selected all the columns, and then I checked that number equals to my total gross fares minus my expenses. So hopefully that clears things up for you guys, and you're able to basically run through this really quickly. And like I said, if you're interested in learning more about TurboTax or H&R Block, I definitely have some feedback about those 2 softwares on my post that I'll link to today. I personally have used TurboTax for the past 10 years, so I'm a big fan of that, but they did make some changes this year that upset a lot of people, and it's now a little more expensive. I think it's $30 more if you want to file certain schedules. So I know a lot of people are switching to H&R Block, and the initial reviews seem really good. It seems like people are happy with H&R Block, so that could be an option, and H&R Block is cheaper. So you guys know me, I'm pretty cheap. I'm going to probably go with the option that costs the least and does the job. So hopefully this video was helpful, and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel for more awesome information. All right, take care, guys.